Opening a comms channel to the hive city that is Los Angeles to talk tournaments, it's the Vox Cascadia podcast. My name's Chuck, and welcome back, everyone. Tyler, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing real well. How about you, Connor?
I'm doing pretty good myself. Had a good weekend. Finally painted up some Kroot, so I can't complain.
And with us tonight on the podcast, we have our friends over at Squad Games. We've got Dakotah and Giacomo. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, everyone?
Doing good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so we've been meaning to get y'all on, and glad to finally work. You guys got some exciting stuff to talk about, and apparently even like a world first we're going to hear from Dakotah later. So, but before we get to that, what have you guys been up to? I worked on some Into the Dark terrain lists last weekend, and I've got like putting in more effort on Into Dark terrain than I do on most teams, but it's going to look really, really good. Connor, you said you've been getting into the Kroot again?
Oh yeah, I've built now 40 individual carnivores, a bunch of the Krootox rider guys, a couple of hounds, and then two things of Forest Stalkers. I am fully invested in playing Kroot Army because they're very fun right now in 40k.
That's cool. I bought the box set for Kroot, but I have no plans on painting them anytime soon.
Just want them to be on your shelf.
It's very tempting.
Pile of shame. Yeah.
I really have to resist these days because a lot of the models are so good coming out. Like that Darkoath Savagers box for AOS recently. Oh man, that was so hard not to buy. I don't have any use for it, but like I was like, I could probably like kit bash these into something at some point in the near future or extended future.
You got your Night Lords. Are you done with your Night Lords, Tyler?
I mean, like I'm done with the Night Lords themselves, but I'm working on a display board for them now. So
nice. And Dakotah and Giacomo, what about you? What's on the painting desk lately?
I have also been working on Night Lords, but I took a small break recently just because I have a commission. I got 2 weeks to finish of a Alfarius model that's from Horse Heresy, so I'll be working on that. I just did all the cleaning, getting some of the resin beasts, all the resin like leftover stuff that gets on it. And that's pretty much what's on my desk right now.
I had no idea Giacomo was still taking commissions. He keeps telling me he's not taking
It's rare when I do.
That money has to be right, huh? Or the right friend has to ask.
It's a mix of both.
We made him an offer and he couldn't refuse.
Exactly.
What kind of color scheme are you going with?
So this person uses the metallic approach to making armor, which is using that plus the contrast paints.
I know who it is.
Yes, you do. So I am following their style so that it fits. They just wanted a character to look nice, so they came to me. I offered. They saw the offer. And well, they gave me a good offer, so I couldn't say no.
Is it Black Knight?
It is Black Knight. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, I did a really big hobby foray into Vetguard as I did go to Dallas recently. Did relatively well for what I thought I was going to do at Dallas. And I had to paint up a fully legal Games Workshop kill team, which I don't own any other than, Intercession. So spent like 2 weeks converting a bunch of Cadian Guardsmen, getting old resin models like Sly Marbo and Sergeant Harker, and converting them quite a lot. And then taking a Kasrkin leader, giving him a halo head, and painting up the whole team to be like UNSC Marines, and Master Chief coming to save them all. And I think on my hobby desk in the future is going to be a really cool display board for those models. So
hell yeah, that sounds sick. I'm a big Halo fan, so I'm always glad to see them coming over to the 40k. Really quick, what of the Halo games is like your favorite Marine design? Because they're all a little different, each with their own special things.
To be honest, looking at the Halo models, I'm rather colorblind, and they have a lot of I'm color deficient. As people who listen to the Squad Games podcast will know, I never shut up about being color deficient. So it's rather difficult for me to differentiate some of the color schemes that they have in Halo. They're so desaturated. So I kind of made my own. I went with a Skaven Blight Dinge and Storm vermin fur undertone with a Rakarth flesh highlight over the models for their armor, and then they have some black clothes underneath, highlighted with Eshin gray. So yeah, they're. If you're asking for my favorite, I'd probably say number one, Halo 1, the more stereotypical army fatigues.
Halo 1 was an amazing game that kind of changed first person shooters, at least in my opinion.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a masterpiece.
Absolutely did. My friends hate when I get on the topic because I will not shut up about how it was literally like genre defining as a concept.
Kids these days will never know the true joy of you and 16 friends and 4 Xboxes and 4
Mhm.
TVs
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
in one room playing Halo Deathmatch.
I did that with all my older neighbors. I was by far the youngest, by like 5 to 8 years, give or take. But I was, a solid 16th person for the LAN party, so I will always cherish those memories.
Oh, it's nothing like these days where you put an LCD TV or a OLED TV under your arm and carry them. It's the old CRT TVs that you had to get two people to get it out of the car for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you could even fit it in the car.
Yeah.
One of my birthdays was just playing, I think Halo Reach. It was like a 24 LAN party or something like that. We just had a bunch of football players in a house just smashing away. And I think our favorite thing to do was just hammer and swords and grenades. Fuck yeah. There's nothing better than sticking your friend with a plasma grenade and jumping away as you see them just like explode, desperately trying to kill you. It's amazing.
I think Space Marine 2 is going to bring back a lot of that joy for our community in like multiplayer games, like Deathmatch. The first one was so good in its Deathmatch, and this one, I know it's going to be even better.
Yeah, just the reveal that they're going to have the Chaos Marines in that trailer was so exciting. I convinced a bunch of my non-Warhammer friends, to like, hey, maybe we should just buy this because it just looks fun, and I'm hoping it's a good time.
The question is it going to be better than Unreal Tournament or any of those other old ones? Like some of those are just like, I'm in typing class and I'm not going to type. I'm not going to learn today. I'm going to play some Quake 3. I must blow up some people in the lobby.
I mean, those old boomer shooters, like completely, I think that's almost gone other than like games like Bolt Gun and stuff like that. There's nothing that's so movement heavy like those old shooters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Let's get to know squad games a little bit. So I'm a big fan of squad games. Listen to the podcast. It comes out every Tuesday morning, and every Tuesday morning I fire it up and listen to you lovely dudes talk some Kill Team bullshit. What got you guys started making content and organizing, and which came first?
So I know Chuck is because at LVO, the very first year that we ever ran it, Chuck did not play, and he came up and he was like, "Yo, I listened to the podcast." I was like, "Oh yeah," and we were talking about it. He's like, "Yeah, Space Marine episode's one of my favorites." I was like, "That's one of our favorites that we ever filmed." We literally got off of work, went back, and just recorded it right then and there because we were so excited about it. Yeah, it was a good time.
The Intercession one that you guys did when that came out, that was kind of I use it as a guideline for when I was playing Intercession. I listened to it a couple times actually.
Yeah, Giacomo, do you want to start it off? The history of squad games?
Yeah. It's pretty easy. So Dakotah and I enjoyed Kill Team, right? Back during, I want to say it was 2021, 2022. Yeah, 2022. He would call me on occasion. And at this point, we've been friends. We've been friends since college, but maybe not as close. We moved away, a little bit different. We didn't play as much. But he'd call me occasionally and tell me, hey, I made these tokens for this game. You want to take a look at them? Send me a picture. I'd look at it and tell him, oh, that's cool. What's this for? Tell me about Kill Team. Oh, it's awesome. I didn't know it was out. Anyways, so we kept talking Kill Team. And then I forget how we got into the topic of podcasts and how there weren't a whole lot for Kill Team.
We were driving back from the LVTT.
That's what it was.
During the COVID year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And
which is an FLG team tournament event in Las Vegas. We were playing 40K.
Yes. And we were thinking like to ourselves, like, well, there's not a whole lot of people in the scene making podcasts for it. Or at least at the time I didn't notice.
I think it was just Kill Team Casuals, I think was just starting. We had Emmanuel's and Biernid's.
That's the one. Kill Zone?
Yeah, the Kill Zone.
The Kill Zone. Yeah. And
that one flamed bright and then died just as fast.
It went out, But we decided we should get into that. And so Knockmend came around and we thought, like, do you want to do Knockmend? And that was our first episode. It just kind of kept going from there. The format changed, the style changed, and we're almost at 100.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are high 90s right now. What was today? 97?
I think it was
99.
99.
99. Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and then,
Congratulations.
so did you guys start doing organizing tournaments and stuff and doing that piece before you started the podcast, or was that just kind of a natural progression from being out in the community a little more?
So the reason why I actually started doing organizing is because I saw a lot of stuff that FLG did, and I kind of wanted to do it better. There were some things, specifically with that LVTT, that upset me. We did a lot of hobby for that event, I should say.
Oh, that prize.
And we got Renaissance third place, and they gave us a singular crystal trophy cup for 5 players. And I was like, well, should I just throw this on the ground and break it and take home like a shard? I was very unhappy about it. And I wanted to do it better. And that's the podcast kind of came in with that, wanting to make tournaments, and the podcast kind of just went hand in hand.
Is there any TO out there in the Kill Team scene that hasn't like started basically out of vengeance? Like, oh man, I went to this event. I did not like it. I can do this shit better. Because that's exactly how Kill Team Cascadia started, you know?
Oh yeah. I
didn't
heard
know
it was that LVO. I guess the people who run that is a piece of shit, you know?
Absolutely. No, it was that first round at Tacoma, man. Like, first time up there, like, there was barely anyone. And, like, it was just kind of, like, it felt underwhelming. Where it was like, we can do this. We can do it better. And, like, you know, make something.
Dude, we heard horror stories of that Tacoma.
Oh, my God. It was, I mean, like, you know, Baki was there. And you know Baki so well. You know, and like we played final matchup, and like the maps were awful, you know, like it was like vantage in each of the 4 corners, you know, like people hardly knew the rules at that point. Like I think like a mid-tier player at this point in the game would probably be best player in the world back at the Tacoma stage of things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, it was a mess, and we were just like, we can do better than this. We can give people a reason to actually play this game up here.
One of the actual, the main reason, the real reason why we started actually doing tournaments outside of just like, hey, I can do this better. Kill Team Stream didn't want to do LVO anymore. Some things happened with LVO 2022, and there was some strong backlash about what people deemed Box City, which was a terrain format, which is actually extremely similar to Beta Decima, and people hated it. There's a lot of people who liked it. I didn't mind it. Maybe it's because I played Vedgard. Who knows? But it had to do with 6 containers and 2 towers. And it was kind of like a little bit almost like Into the Dark, where there's just like a lot of heavy, a lot of stuff, and open. You could jump from container to container. And I find it very interesting that now people want to play Beta Decima when that terrain receives so much hate. It's just weird that when GW paints something in a certain light, things kind of get the okay from the community. It's a little weird, but
Are you finding that people actually like want to play Beta Decima down in your area?
No one in my area, but specifically, I think that there's like 2 areas that people are really playing it. They're playing a lot of it in Australia, a lot. And I think they're playing it somewhere else. Somebody just came out with a pretty nice Beta Decima alternative. I still think that in that particular terrain pack, the objectives are too far. It seems impossible for Votan to play, but are into the dirt terrain.
That's what Tyler calls it.
The asymmetrical version of it took 8-9 months of workshopping, 5 separate tournaments of feedback, and four full renditions until we got it to where it is now. And it seems, and that's come off very, very well. So I think that if people continue to workshop Beta Decima, maybe we'll eventually come out one day with a really good pack of Beta Decima terrain. But Currently, I just think there's too little terrain, and I think it's too reminiscent of things in the past that did not work for very particular reasons from the community.
Do you think we'll see much Beta Decima even? Because
Hell no.
I feel like with the first 8 boxes of Kill Team, we had a bunch of terrain in each box, which is why there's so much Into the Dark out there, why there's so like a ton of Octarius. But Beta Decima you had to buy separate, and I think a lot of people didn't even like want to buy it. So do you think we're ever going to see a good chunk of it?
So I have 2 thoughts on that. One thought is that terrain did sell out. So there were a lot of people who bought it. The question is, did a lot of Kill Team players buy it? And the other question is, did a lot of Kill Team organizers buy it? On top of that, there's a lot of really good 3D printer people out there. Shout out to Alexander Popov. He has a great Beta Decima alternative for 3D printing. It's pretty much like bolt for bolt. He did a great job. And also, happy birthday, Alex.
At the time of this recording.
Alex is such a cool guy. If you guys get a chance to meet him, like, it's always good. I got to meet him last 2 LVOs, and hanging out with him was awesome.
I think that's going to have to be a Squad Games drinking game when you guys shout out Alex and Paul.
If I drank, it would be. Otherwise, I'll just die from caffeine overdose.
I'll have yours for you. So
there you go. So, do tournament organizers buy into it? And I think the only tournament organizers that are actually trying to run this competitively is really the only thing that I've seen is Australia that's been running it. They've been running Into the Dark and Beta Decima. Doesn't make as much sense to me because you can't max your objectives on Beta Decima. So innately, if you get like 4 Beta Decima events, like games, you're innately just going to score less, unless if you're playing AdMech, right? You see where I'm going with this, Connor? If you're playing AdMech and you can forward deploy the 4 inches because of the FAQ outside of your deployment zone, you automatically have a leg up on everyone. Or if you have climbing ropes, or if you're a Tau player, heaven forbid. There are certain teams that function very, very well on Beta Decima, and I think that it's viable if you know going into it. But Games Workshop, as of last year, ran a little bit of Into the Dark, a little bit of Octarius, and then they just went strict Octarius. And then at Worlds, they surprised everyone with Into the Dark. To me, the question is, are they building Beta Decima to throw into Worlds this year, like kind of what they did last year? And I highly doubt it, because I think every tournament organizer thus far has seen a really negative reaction from organizers in running this terrain, because it's just not competitive.
Yeah, it's really rough. I think, like, as a club, we have a lot of terrain, as you do, to run events and stuff like that. And I think we have 2, maybe 3 Beta Decima collectively, and mine's not even assembled or painted or anything like that. I think we could like reach out to the wider community and pull it in if we wanted to, but we like to source internally for our stuff, ideally. And like, there wasn't a lot of motivation for us to pick up a lot of it. It didn't look viable. It felt kind of expensive for what it was, and having to wait 9 months, year or more for something to be viable, and then have really limited availability on it. Like, we can't pick it up again like we could with Into the Dark or a lot of the Octarius, because it was printed in such high quantities,
Yeah,
Right.
see, I would have loved to see Beta Decima get rid of the gantries and just have a tile-based system, so you don't have this like weird ocean floor that's not ocean floor because it's the same as the other one aesthetically, but you could have like some kind of tile system with walls and have it be like an Into the Dark type deal, but you have to like jump from gaps and stuff. They could have done so many cool things with Beta Decima. And I think just artistically and everything else, I just think they really dropped the ball for me. I've played it a couple times. I will say Beta Decima is a ton of fun. I think that the game mode itself is a lot of fun. I just think that it deserves to stay in a narrative based or casual play.
It's a great summary.
Yeah, I think that taking things as like narrative or just kind of casual play, that's completely fine. So much of the community discussion is around competitive stuff. What's hot right now competitively? How is this terrain supposed to be laid out for a competitive tournament and stuff like that? And it doesn't always matter,
Mhm.
especially if you're playing just locally, pick up games, stuff like that.
Absolutely. And always playing on Beta Decima will always let you see things that you typically might not see it otherwise. I think it's still a viable thing to practice on and play on. So you never know if somebody's going to run it at a tournament. Um, because they do have a lot of different rules, like their objective markers, for heaven's sake, have traverse, and you can stand on the traverse. Where does the cover lines happen when you're standing on traverse? I don't know. There's just too many questions for me to ask.
So if I think what I got from this though is that the reason that AdMech have jumped up is because Australia plays a game mode that nobody likes.
So we've only really pulled one or two tournaments from Australia. So in the Meta Watch video, Connor, you were talking about that earlier. There was only two like AdMech heavy games that we pulled from. We did not pull the Great Northern Beaches. Their golden ticket for reasons, but everything else we pulled from them. Liam, who's an amazing player, right? Absolutely stunning dude. He got a golden ticket from last year. He's going back. He's going to crush America. I understand. He is maining AdMech at the moment, and they function very, very well on Beta Decima, and they function really well on Into the Dark. So that could be some of the reason why we are seeing AdMech jump up, is because they actually have a hero who's performing really well with them in these larger events of tournaments. So I think, I don't know, we probably have about 10% of the games are probably just from Liam, and they're all wins. So 10% of the wins are specifically from him. So unique player wise, are they functioning better than they used to? That's a lot harder to tell whether or not Liam is just pushing them out there. But it is really cool to see that when to see their higher skill floor compared to some other teams. And I think that Liam's definitely onto something. I think they're very strong in the meta at the moment.
So there's your new champion, Connor. He was on. I think Liam was on just another Kill Team podcast. I just sent Connor the link right before this, and he was very excited to hear more AdMech talk.
I was going to listen to it after we finished recording this. So shout out to Australia. Liam, you're my new hero. So thank you.
Have you heard we have an old podcast with Alex Squires. He's the cog boy himself, or the originator. He won SoCal Open 2022, and he might have won 2023 as well. I don't remember.
Alex is an incredible player.
Yeah.
I know Robert through online stuff, and I know they practice a lot, and he's always talking up Squires. He's like, oh, Squires is fucking killing it. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He's just consistent.
That is the least to say about it. I'm pretty sure the flesh is weak, and he has made it some kind of brain implant chips that he can just like measure from like where his eyeballs are.
He's got the Neuralink that Elon Musk is putting out there, apparently.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully he got one of the good ones and not the one in the guy's brain that failed.
Yeah, I know. But I will say, unfortunately, Connor, he has switched to the knife ears, the Blades of Cain, because they are more galaxy brain than current AdMech.
I think that Blades of Cain are slept on. I think they're one of the hardest teams to understand in the game, and people just don't get them yet. And to see Squires play them is a frightening prospect.
Yeah, super strong.
So back to squad games a little bit. So you guys started off the podcast, taking over some tournaments, and you've been growing pretty big. And you've also, Dakotah, were you, before you started squad games, doing Lester's Workshop? Is that where when you were making the tokens and stuff?
Yeah, I started doing Lester's Workshop Well, I started Lester's Workshop in 2013, and I was mainly making Batman cowls, Wonder Woman tiaras, and bracers out of brass and stainless steel. I really like to make things out of that. And then in 2019, I got injured during work with security, and it made working with metal a lot more difficult. And so we bought a laser, and I decided to start making some stuff for Kill Team because I like the game, and I think I was the first person to make tokens for Kill Team on Etsy. Literally the first. And I saw like the preview images or whatever, and I made them. I stayed up till like 4 a.m. that night, and I just made them. I was like cracked out of my mind on some Mountain Dew Baja Blast caffeine. Stayed up all night long designing and making them. And that's back in the day when it used to take me a long time to make to figure out how to make things, double-sided tokens and stuff like that. Um, and then I think in 2022 we had a house flood, destroyed some equipment, and then I had a fire the following year. I actually had two. So one in December, and then I asked the community for help, and then they graciously donated a bunch of money to buy another laser, and then that one caught fire within 20 days, and then I recently, as of Monday of last week, the company finally got back to me, and they're like, "Hey, you haven't paid this bill," and I was like, "I know. I've been trying to talk to you for a very long time," and finally worked out a deal with them to send me replacement parts so I can try to fix the laser myself and then restart payments. So that is very beneficial for the Luster's Workshop side of things. But unfortunately, it really killed my reviews, really killed a lot of social interactions that I had with people and other things. So I have to kind of rethink my approach with Luster's Workshop and how I'm going to move forward once I get the lasers all back up and running again, and kind of go from there. So I think that having like 3 really big disasters within like an 18-month span really just like really killed a lot of the drive and a lot of other things. On top of that, DC Warner Brothers came after me for making Batman cowls in 2022 when Batman the Dark Knight or the new Batman movie dropped. So stopped a lot of revenue from multiple sources for that business. So trying to figure out where to go from there.
It's nice when the big companies come after the little guys for making stuff for their IP.
Yeah, I think I was making Batman cows for 10 years, and then they were like, "Hey, stop it!" And I was like, "Yes, sir." What else am I supposed to say?
Yeah, I'm sure they probably got like a cease and desist letter or something, and
Yep,
ceased and desist.
Yep, it was great.
I'm hoping to get a cease and desist letter from Games Workshop at some point for one of my shirts. Like that's the goal with my shirts, is to like walk that line, like walk right up to it, and then being like, "Hey, this one design is too far. You can't do this one design. All the other ones, they're fine, but this one, too far."
I think the only time you'll run into that is if you use any of their trademarked words, because I think all of that's the reason why they went to words themselves, like they copyrighted words.
Adeptus Astartes and stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah.
I had to look, like when I was doing the All Arbites Are Bastard shirt. I wasn't sure if Arbites was one of their words. It is not, by the way. They don't have a trademark. So I was like, yep, put that on a shirt.
Sweet.
So where do you guys see squad games going? So you guys, I know you really expanded into YouTube a lot lately with the Hobby Highlander and with the MetaWatch stuff that you're doing. You also doing some streaming at tournaments and stuff, as well as the whole squad games like tournament circuit. Where do you guys see yourself in a couple of years?
So I think that mine and Giacomo's ideas might vary here. G, why don't you go first?
I see an expansion, or as they've said from the 2000s, pivoting to video. Like starting to move more into that direction, which is never a bad thing. And the tournaments will still be the same. We just keep doing them. Maybe outdo ourselves each time. I don't know the amount of times we can do them, because there's only so many days in a year that people can put aside to play tournaments. But you can definitely watch videos, especially on your phone. So it makes more sense to go into that direction and to keep pivoting towards more different media, specifically video. So I see us doing that. That's where I see us. What do you think, Dakota?
Definitely agree with G there. I'm quite ambitious when I do things. So we started off our very first tournament June of 2022. Our very first tournament, we had 7 players, and that was Saya and Giacomo both playing in the tournament. And then I think I had to jump in as well to get to 8. And within 8 months, we ran the first LVO, which broke all the Kill Team records, 87 players. Then Kill Team Open tied us a month later. And then I think Warhammer Fest beat us with 118 players, and then we had to beat them, so we got 130. So like my goal is always to run the biggest and best tournaments on the tournament scene side. But like Giacomo said, we had to cut back tournaments this year. Really only do between 6 and 7, maybe even 8 tournaments at the most, because we have to expand outside of just doing tournaments. Tournaments are not very lucrative, and the only times that they are might be something like LVO, but we don't see a profit from LVO except for 5% from FLG because we are affiliates with FLG. And so we see a little bit here and there from specific events. I think that our tournament side, we always want to push to be the biggest and best. And we always want to have competition and raise other tournaments with us, because if we're the only big and best tournament in the world, the game will die, right? You have to have other people running great events for the game to continue to grow. And that's one thing that I love about KTC, the East Coast, you know?
Yeah, a rising tide raises all boats.
Exactly.
Like it's never one person's success; it's everyone's success in a community, especially something like this.
Mm-hmm. So tournament wise, we continually want to make bigger and better tournaments. And I think the more popular that we get on YouTube, it'll definitely be something that raises our tide as well. I think that it will draw more interest, even if we're not doing Kill Team related things. I think that it's really important to draw aspects and eyes to the community. YouTube is huge there. And then I found myself wanting to play less at game stores. And if I'm going to play a Kill Team game, I might as well stream it. It doesn't make as much sense for us currently to go out and play it at as many game stores like we used to, because we want to continually make content. And sometimes you can't, there's so much time dedicated to running tournaments, to making content, to making podcasts, to making YouTubes, then to go out and play with the community. It definitely is difficult. So sometimes we have our Patreon members come over and play games. We hopefully look forward to opening up the streaming here in the shop.
Do y'all have anything besides the Hobby Highlander or the and the like MetaWatch stuff that you like, other kind of show ideas besides just streaming that you can share with us, or just keeping that under the wraps for now, or just want to expand on those?
There's a couple ideas in the work, but nothing has been solidified in terms of a plan or how to, really go at it. At the moment, we've mostly just focused on doing the Hobby Highlander series and the MetaWatch series. So that's what our focus is right now. And as we master those and get good at the production of it, we can then start adding more to the plate as we get more comfortable with doing everything else. Otherwise, we'll be overloaded. We got the podcast too, so it takes quite a lot of time.
I have a couple more because, again, with my ambition, right? So streaming weekly or bi-weekly games is kind of important. We want to start a streaming league where people become familiar with certain people, and we have like a competitive environment where people tune in to watch certain matchups and then take those and directly import them to YouTube. We also want to do obviously master Hobby Highlander. I think that is by far our best creativity work so far. But outside of that, things have been said about the next season or next edition of Kill Team. We want to really capitalize on that when that releases, whatever that may be. So planning a lot of content around there. And also, I don't know if you guys know this, I am a huge fucking D&D nerd, like huge nerd. Played D&D for quite a long time. And I would play it like 2 days a week for like 6 years. And my group moved away, so it's been rather difficult to do that. And I toyed with streaming D&D. My wife says that she thinks I'm more entertaining than Matt Mercer, which my wife would always say that. I don't think that is necessarily true. But I really want to start doing that again, and then making some D&D content as well, because playing 2 times a week for 6 years, you can come up with a lot of stuff. And with how creative I think I have a lot of creative problem solving for player interactions that I would love to share.
Nice. That sounds sick. Yeah. D&D is always super fun, and it's insanely good light right now with all the Baldur's Gate stuff coming out. I know that's revamped most of my friends group, and trying to maybe get D&D sessions going again. But beyond that, Giacomo, maybe you. Any other games you guys would think about beyond maybe Kill Team or D&D?
I mean, there's a lot of wonderful war games, skirmish game, big games, you name it. But in the reality of it, Games Workshop really has like a grip on all sorts of games when it comes to tournaments, right? So, if anything, we'd probably move into different Warhammer games that exist, different IPs there, because as much fun as we like, we're thinking about doing Shatterpoint. The game itself is a fun game. I don't see it as competitive as it could be. I think it's one of the more swingy games that Atomic Mass Games produces. And I don't know if that would be something we'd like to do just yet because it's not as big of an area or even an interest. I think that's even a little more niched. At least that's how I look at it. Now, Dakotah might be completely different. He's like, oh yeah, let's do Shatterpoint, but I don't think
We
so.
tried. We talked about it. We talked about expanding our Kill Team, our tournament scene quite a lot with a bunch of different games. Problem is in LA, space is expensive. So it's rather hard to do that tournament organizing wise. I think that one thing me and Giacomo have talked about is everyone being great at Kill Team and also like looking at other games and being experts at those. So like 40K, we're both interested in, so we both do that. I'd probably do more of the D&D thing. And if he expands, he might do like another game, and then we can all do like talking head pieces about that kind of stuff. But that's still in the talks.
Shatterpoint is it's a weird game. Like it feels like there's like momentum for it, but no actual community. Are you guys seeing similar stuff down in California for that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the problem for Shatterpoint, people like KTC and Squad Games doesn't exist for Shatterpoint.
There's just nobody like
Kill
running
Team,
big communities like we have.
yeah, Kill Team Casuals, all these people. Because I said this at the Bay Area Championships last weekend. We had two people travel in from Chicago to come and play the Rutner-X, and both did very well. I think without people wanting to travel, without people making content, without people introducing themselves, the Kill Team actually started in 2018, 2016, the old edition that came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was growing from there. And then COVID kind of killed everything. And then it started growing again. I have not seen that from Shatterpoint. I'm starting to see that with a song of Ice, Wind, and Fire. What is that game called? A song of
Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, a song of Ice and Fire.
That's the one. That's the one. We're starting to see articles and things being made about that game, and I don't know. I think it was made in 2017. I think I put in like 2 Kickstarters. I've never played a game, and I have like fucking 50 boxes of this game because I love the miniatures. I think that it's rather difficult build a scene, and I think you really have to have people that are out there that's really, really passionate about the game. And like with you guys being super passionate, look how big your guys' tournaments are. Like you guys sometimes blow us out of the water. Like our third party events aren't really as big as your guys' third party events outside of maybe the All Valley team tournament and hopefully the West Coast Championship. We might be able to compete with you. But like even like the recognized events, right? Like I really like the Batman the miniature game. There's not a soul alive that plays that in California.
Not even you.
Not even me. But I think that without a dedicated fan base and without like continual updates, every game will die. So without content creators, like it was a big blow to kind of like lose Glass, to the Kill Team community and other things because he's been around for so long, and Beernid, right? And all these like old heads. But there's other people that are right behind them ready to take their place. And I don't see that for Shatterpoint.
Do you guys think that now, because this is really the first kind of gaming community that I've really been involved in, is this what it's like for other games, other big games, even like 40K or Age of Sigmar? Are there communities like this that do as much as we do, I think, in the Kill Team scene as far as like tournaments and even just communication around the game?
There's a few.
Yeah, I would think so for sure. Especially because if you look at the teams, like we have a friend who's in XPZ, just as an example. He was telling us a few nights ago that they have a bunch of players from different parts of the state that are part of the team. So just that alone shows how much reach these bigger
And other
games have.
countries.
And other countries that just show the reach of it, right? Like the only other country member who's part of an American team that I know of is John Reese from Can You Roll a Crit, who occasionally plays for Kill Team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that, that just kind of shows you where the bigger games have more of a reach. So there's definitely people doing tournaments for that, which is good. And that's like we mentioned earlier, is what keeps the game alive. You can't just be one entity. It's going to be multiple groups running events, hopefully good events, and people keep joining them. FLG being probably the largest here in the United States. But, shout out to all the independent ones who are doing it too.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about this. FLG started in 2008 when Games Workshop had their internal collapse, when they almost started going bankrupt and all that kind of stuff. And they stopped running events because they had to cut costs. They stopped running all the Ard Boys 2,500 point games and all that kind of stuff. FLG started up, and look where they are now, right? Like 10 years later, they're running like, 5, 6, 7,000 person events, right? And when you look at the Las Vegas Open and you look at what sells at the Las Vegas Open, 40K has had a really competitive, good game system for nearly forever now. I think really Ard Boys started way back in the late 90s, could be earlier. And they ran all the way to 2008. And then it was so popular, somebody else picked them up and created a really thriving business. And the ITC, the Independent Tournament Circuit, which turned into whatever GW renamed it. And yeah, I don't remember. And then 3 years ago. And so like you have 40K who's been around forever, and you can see how much of a global powerhouse it is. Fantasy was dying, so they rebranded it with AOS, and they have such beautiful models that a lot of 40K players started doing that. Middle Earth is huge. It's absolutely huge. You have Legion that's really big. We have Kill Team, who is absolutely growing every single year. We have not seen it stop. What we grew 50% from last year. We sold 100 tickets, and then we sold 164 tickets this year. So like that's a 64% increase. X-Wing is relatively large as well as a community, and Marvel Crisis Protocol. I would say that those are and Bolt Action is also kind of big, but I'd probably go 40K, AOS, Middle Earth might be in there because of how many like Australians and Europeans play the game, and people in the Midwest, and then Legion, and then probably Kill Team.
Did you see that, what is it, Jervis Johnson took over writing rules for Conflict 47?
Mm-hmm.
Andy Chambers. Didn't he write basically the best editions of 40K anyways? I'm
not sure. He might have.
Yeah.
I don't know the author of most of the games.
He did like a lot of stuff in I want to say 4th and 5th edition, which are my personal favorites for Big Hammer.
Same.
And for him to move over to a game like Conflict 47 is pretty huge for them. That game's been growing for years now, and Warlord's been doing a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, I think as long as AWG or AMG keeps supporting Shatterpoint, we might see it become more of a thing, especially when they rewrite the rules if they want to try to make it more competitive or not, because for all we know, they might not want it to be competitive, and that's okay too.
The big things I've heard about Shatterpoint is that it's very kinetic, that people don't die so often. And the other complaint that I personally have and other people say is that there's no one's your dudes. There's no build a Jedi kit. There's no build a Mandalorian kit. It's all named characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I could see why people wouldn't like that as much. Same thing with Marvel. There's less individuality, creativity that you could really put in. There's only so many times you can paint Spider-Man green and yellow.
Wait, what?
just as an example of like, going completely off the rails, something that
Oh.
he's never really done. And I
think
get
that's
it, that's
That's
why
the color Dakotah
Warhammer.
just painted, right?
And-
I mean, I've done things in the past. You should see some of my camo cloaks.
but that is, you're right. So that's why maybe some of these other games are a little more fun, because there's not necessarily characters. And but I get it from AMG's perspective. You have two huge IPs. How are you not going to do that? If anything, they're the company that makes IP games. That's how I look at them, right? I don't think they've come out with their own.
Well, because it's guaranteed to sell something,
Yeah.
The one problem I think is really facing Shatterpoint is just how many other Star Wars mini games AMG has, and each in a slightly different scale. Because it's different Kill Team and 40k are, you at least have the benefit of if you buy a Kill Team kit, it can work for 40k, and vice versa. Versus like Shatterpoint, I think it was a really weird decision that none of the Star Wars Legion models were of the same or could be used in Shatterpoint because it's in a completely different scale.
I think it was purely a capitalistic view.
Wouldn't be shocked, they got to make their money. I can understand that. But as someone that had bought in a little bit to Legion, I was kind of disappointed when I heard that because plus, like Tyler said, I want to bring my own individual clones. I always thought the clones were the coolest. Jedi are kind of neat, but like only Plo Koon to me. Everyone else is just kind of meh. So the fact there's not really generic clones is a bit of a shame.
That's fair. The only person I want to play is Darth Vader and Kylo Ren. That's it. I'm a bad guy. I'm a bad guy through and through in that universe.
Have they put out Kylo Ren for Shatterpoint yet? I know they got a couple Darth Vaders, I think.
I don't think so, because Shatterpoint's also, as far as I know, only been the prequel era and then the original trilogy era. They haven't done any of the new stuff, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, I still collect the models because I want to support the game and I really like the 40 millimeter scale. I wish I'm right there with you, Connor. I wish that they also had that they stayed in the 28 millimeter realm of Star Wars Legion or 32. I really wish they did because I think the game would have been way more successful because people could have just started playing it and trying it. But I'm not going to complain at bigger models and easier to paint eyeballs.
Yeah, very true. The models all are good. Like they look great, but I think one of the benefits, at least, of like when Kill Team kind of got the refresh in 21 with the compendium, as much as people meme about how crappy it is the fact that easy enough to just say to a 40k player that has interest, you're like, yeah, you play guard, here's a team, or like you play Marines, here's 12 different teams type of deal. Not being
100%.
not being able to convert like, well, these clones can be that one, and your Anakin we can proxy as Ahsoka Tano or whatever was a bit of a shot in the foot.
And there's already this stereotype from big, large war games into skirmish games where they're like, oh, that's just a lesser game because there's lesser models. It's definitely not true, but there's definitely that thought process that goes in when you're talking to like 40k players or Legion players or
100%.
why would I want to bring less models?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's basically impossible to convert an army scale player over to Kill Team unless they're kind of tired or burnt out on army scale games. It's a different crowd. The people who want to play 40k, they want their tanks and they want their knights and they want all of that stuff. And they don't really care how good the game is or how, like crisp the rules are in Kill Team or how competitive and balanced it really is. They're in it for the big army.
It's easy to convert the AdMech players. You just tell us we still hit on threes in Kill Team, and we come like a whole horde of rats.
You just put it into binary 001110001, and they just come.
Exactly. It's exactly how I converted some of the people at my local store.
Hell yeah!
Now, y'all just had a tournament this last weekend, right? In the Bay Area Championships.
Sure
We
did.
did.
Yeah, I listened to you guys talk about it today, but can you give our audience a little bit of a recap on that?
Well, I can tell you that the super secret thing now. Spoke to GW today, and they awarded a golden ticket to the event retroactively.
No shit! Wow,
They did.
Wow.
That's
Actually, hold
awesome.
on. Let me get a
That's
little more
super
excited for that.
Yeah, and that was the big news. So Jimmy Kelly has got a gold ticket. He won the whole thing with Nemesis Claw. I've been telling Giacomo, if you guys listen to the podcast, I've been saying Nemesis Claw is S tier. Giacomo's now recently converted to A tier. This guy doesn't believe in elites.
Well, from our community, Jack is going to be super excited to hear that. She's been playing Night Lords, and now we can let Jack know that somebody has a golden ticket from the Night Lords.
Mm-hmm. They are super super good. Like, it's ridiculous.
They're so fun too. I feel they did such a good job making them feel like a fluffy team. They're really good, great to play. Everything I wanted in an elite team, honestly.
Unfortunately, I think both teams that came out are super cracked, but you know,
I mean, neither
Definitely
of them are
strong.
AdMech, but they both look pretty cool in their own ways.
that's true. That's true.
I definitely think like mandrakes are going to get touched, and then I think that high representation in the community is going to cause the Night Lords to be touched a little bit. Also, um, I don't know like how overbalanced they are, but they're
Well, they had a
definitely strong.
44%. They had a 44 or 42% win rate right before this past weekend, and then Austin Lewis, Jimmy Kelly, and Wyatt really did their darndest to make sure that win rate went skyrocketing.
Yeah, I know I'm going to be piloting them at Tacoma, most likely. There's still stuff to come out here shortly, so you never know. Maybe I'll pivot to something else right before it.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that the team is going to get touched because of they had a relatively poor win rate, and they still might even. I think they had a 44%. So unless if GW starts witnessing me on all of these tournament wins that they're about to start having, we're gonna. I don't think they're gonna be touched for at least 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, like 6 months. Who knows if there's even going to be a touch on the team before the new
You're not wrong.
edition?
You're
Then,
absolutely not wrong. Yeah.
so
True.
I think that really what we're going to see is we're going to see balance for teams from, Salvation back, and then the teams forward are basically going to stay the same day until we get the announcement August 2nd, which is when I'm calling that they're going to announce the next edition.
Either August or September, in my opinion. I could see them doing it at one of their events, or maybe at Nova, or maybe Warhammer Worlds or something like that. Like we
So
have to think of those big fall events.
Yeah, so they're doing Gen Con again this year, which they didn't
Okay.
do last year. And that falls on Friday, August 2nd for it, which that's right around when we got the, Kill Team 2018, which was right after Dominion's release, too.
Yeah.
So it's lining up. I think it's gonna happen then. So I think we're gonna get an announcement and preview, and then a release early September for it, potentially.
I think that's a really good guess, because if time serves me right, every 3 to 4 months they do a balanced data slate, so that we should be seeing one in June or mid July, and what we have July, August, September, October. The next balanced one should definitely be August, September, October.
Tyler, do you think the new edition would drop that soon? Like if they release the news of a new edition in August, that we'd have it by September? As far as I know,
Didn't
it's
they?
generally been a couple of months afterwards. Like with Sigmar, it's been like nearly half a year.
So like when they've done Kill Team and they announce the new edition or the new season, it seems to drop really fast, except for this season. But that all has to do with like Imperialis being fucked up with the Hitler Youth slogan in the printing there. So
Mhm.
I think that we're gonna get an announcement and then a drop 2 to 3 weeks later. Like it'll probably go on pre-order the week after the announcement, 2-week pre-order period. And then we'll see it, like first or second week of September.
Yeah, I think that's a relatively good guess, in my opinion. I think that I mean, I'm pretty hyped that we're going to get something, right. Somebody told me that the most recent Warhammer community article just said that there's only going to be 3 boxes this season. I didn't read it. I'm just going off of what somebody told me.
So
It.
in the video,
I was gonna say, in the text they kind of revealed a little bit of the rules today for the Genestealer cult, and they had a double asterisk that said, "Hurry up, though. The planet hasn't got much time left," which makes it sound like that's them hinting this is probably the final box on Beta Decima.
yeah, and then in the This Week in Warhammer video where they talk about all the stuff that you can pre-order the following week, they mentioned something about the conclusion of, I can't remember what the exact words were, but it was something about a conclusion.
Wasn't it a climax?
Yeah, the climax of Beta Decima storyline or something like that, probably.
Yeah, it was something like that. So that leads me to believe that we're 3-box season, which Tyler's been hammering for weeks.
I can
Absolutely.
now feel the same pains all the Genestealer or the Tyranid players did of having a Space Hulk season and not getting a Genestealer team. We have a season on Forge World and no bespoke AdMech.
I mean, at least Gene Stealer players can kind of shut up now. They get a patriarch. Like, it may not be exactly what they want, but like, you guys got a big bug, so shut up for a moment. We got a new edition coming.
Who actually thinks that Tyranids are actually going to come to Kill Team? In all honesty, like there are certain factions who should not exist in Kill Team. Custodes should not
100%.
Exist in Kill Team.
Damn
Tyranids
right.
should not exist in Kill Team.
Say it again.
Tyranids should not exist in Kill Team. You guys can put me in your little Tyranid book, just like I'm in the little Votan book, right? I think that Tyranids is a world-spanning force that devours planets. Why would they ever come to Kill Team? The only faction that actually makes sense would be some kind of lictor team, and they've already put out the lictors. The only thing that might possibly happen is if like those Votaran Death Leapers get like some kind of weird upgrade sprue, and then join because they're like your little forward scouts. But the people who are actually Tyranids in the world who actually would have kill teams are the Gene Stealer cult, and we currently have 2 of them.
Yep.
Damn right. I love it. I don't think Terminators belong in Kill Team. Custodies don't belong, and I think you're 100% right. Tyranids don't really fit with it. We can let Tyranid players have compendium Gene Stealers or whatever, some warriors, but like thematically it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they were there, don't get me wrong, but I think lore wise I just don't see it.
So we had a surprise golden ticket, but there is some more golden tickets coming up for the All Valley Team tournament. You guys got 3 golden tickets for that tournament?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Went to Dallas and I spoke to Mike Brandt and Zach Rochester for a good 20 to 30 minutes. Introduced myself and again fangirled a little bit, but talked to them and all that kind of stuff. And when they realized that it was a team tournament and we only had 1 golden ticket for it, Mike Brandt gave us 3. It is the largest team event for Kill Team in the world, right? I think we'll have to see how WTC does this year, but I don't know how many people are actually traveling to Belgium. I know Europeans and a bunch of other people are going, but I think it's a 5-man team, which is innately more difficult to do with Kill Team because we don't have the player base that 40K does. If we had a bigger player base, that's cool, but ITC breaks it down as thus. Every person on the team gets enough ITC points as how many teams are in the tournament. So if you run a 20 team ITC event, first, all people who get first get enough ITC points as if it was a 20 person event, right? It doesn't count the 60 players. So if you have a 20 teams of 5, that's 100 players. That's a lot of ITC points they're giving up for the 5 people in first place. It makes sense to give them all the same amount of points, right? But I think 3 for Kill Team is currently better until we start seeing like 400, 500 people on an event.
The dream.
Tell us about your event. What's the format of it, and how's it going to work? And how do people get golden tickets at yours? Is it just going to go to the top team?
It will go to the top team, and essentially, it's a really fun. This is our 3rd year running it, and we didn't get golden tickets for last year, and I'm very happy that Games Workshop, it has. This year, they've been really gracious with us with golden tickets, but they've also been pretty gracious with everyone. I think they just have more golden tickets to give out, and they're not as stockpiled, which is really nice. Essentially, you have 3 players. It's a 1v1v1 tournament. So you show up to a tournament, and you have a team captain. You walk up to your opponents, and they have a team captain. Both team captains roll a dice. Whichever team wins the dice roll-off, they get to choose one of 3 tables. Table 1 will be a competitive open board. Table 2 will be a competitive into the dark board. And then table 3 is a mystery board. It might be either one, or it could be one of our narrative boards that you saw at LVO. It could be a beta decima board. We don't know. And the reason why we have this 3rd board is because we want to test the adaptability of teams. So that board is strictly there for fun. And if you see a Beta Decima board there, then maybe you throw your Pathfinders player on it. But if somebody, okay, let's go back. So both teams roll a dice. Okay. Whichever team wins gets to choose the very first board that they're going to place a defender on. Then the secondary team is going to choose a different board that they get to place their defender on. Okay. And they're going to announce their defenders at the exact same time. So they get back and they huddle up. Let's say you have the Pathfinder team. You guys choose the Beta Decima board. Cool. It's an auto win because why not? And if we're going to have Beta Decima there in the first place, right? Because I hate it so much, I'm probably not going to use it. I'll probably use our like cool Eldar boards and all that kind of stuff. But besides the point, the other player is going to choose Into the Dark because maybe they have Felgor, maybe they have cultists, whatever. And both teams present their defenders at the exact same time. The defender is then going to choose amongst the other two players that were not selected. So let's say your Pathfinder player chooses to play against Intercession, heaven forbid, on Beta Decima, and then the Cults player decides that he's going to choose to play against, I don't know, Votan, okay, on Into the Dark, right? And then the final two players have to play on the third board together. So the secondary team has a little bit of an advantage because they can kind of dictate what that final board is going to be. And there's a lot of strategy that goes into it. A lot of people that come in to the AVTT on day one really underestimate how much strategy goes into picking your teams. For instance, the very first time the All Valley team tournament happened, Team Angry won. And they were like our dark horse. It was Austin Lewis, James Robinson, and Jonathan Marquis. Jonathan Marquis even brought they released the very first Hyrotech Circle before they were pre-buffed and everything. And he brought them. And guess what? He lost every single game. And what they did was they threw him into the hardest opponent. So they chose him as defender, and then he would sit there and he would choose the best player on the enemy team. So he played like Chris Baki, he played Alex Squires, he played everyone. He played everyone that was hard. They already knew he was going to lose. Austin Lewis and James Robinson just had to win their games, and they went 6-0 undefeated, and they won the whole event because you just need 2 wins for your team to win the round, right? I think the second time AVTT 2, Bats came down, was dominating everyone. And on the very last round, they stumbled and they lost the round. I think only Chris won and everyone else and the other 2 players lost, which broke open the whole thing. It was really funny. Chris went over in order to win, Kill Team had to win. So he went over and put on a Kill Team jersey and sat next to Jimmy. Became part of Kill Team for the next 30 minutes. It was really funny. And then since Kill Team won their 2 of the matches, they ended up Bats ended up winning the event. So there's a lot of strategy involved that people don't. Six-Sided Legion also came in from heaven forbid Minnesota, Wisconsin area. They came in and they underestimated day one the picks, and then they lost. I think they went 1-2 or something, and then they left, and they came back the next day, and I think they 3-0'd. They won the rest of them, and in fact, they were the ones who took down Chris Baki's team. And yeah, it was really fun, really exciting. And this year, after day one, we're gonna all go out to a brewery, which is like 4 or 5 miles down the street, invade their outdoor patio section, and we're going to, eat a bunch of good Irish food and have some brews. We're probably going to give ourselves like an hour or 30 minutes or so to get there to make sure we can lock up and then get everyone there at the same time. But yeah, it's going to be amazing because there's not a lot of tournaments that do something afterwards or have the option to do something afterwards. We want it to feel like a wholesome team friendly event rather than anything else. And Giacomo, he missed last year's AVTT because he had COVID.
That's correct.
This guy.
I was very frustrated that my coworker decided to come in with COVID after knowing he had COVID without telling us.
What a nice gift to give you for your
What
tournament.
a wonderful gift.
So the All Valley Team Tournament giving out 3. There's quite a few people with the golden tickets already going. So if a team that already has a golden ticket or even 2 golden tickets comes and wins, it will be paired down to Team 2 and the best performing player on that team, and then second best. And heaven forbid we have a 3-person golden ticket team that come and then win everything. It'll go to second place. So we're also going to be doing something else fun there, which I don't know if any other event has done so far. You guys may have, but we're going to be doing a fundraiser. I'm going to be creating certain items in the store that is specifically anything that's sold from that. All proceeds are going to go to flights for those 3 players. So however much money that we can fundraise for those players, we're going to give all that for the flights to Atlanta.
That's really cool. Last year we flew Brandon Bean out, also in addition to giving him the golden ticket at Killscream 3. So it always helps when you can help fund something, because it's hard to go to Atlanta. That's a big cost, especially in the middle of a work week or something like that.
Absolutely.
Now, Connor, don't you have a ticket to the AVTT because you didn't win anything at Killscream, but you were nice?
I mean, if you want to put it like that, yeah. I was lucky enough to win friendly and like sportsmanship, which was super awesome. But that got me a ticket, so I'm very excited to go.
Hell yeah.
Have you picked out some teammates?
I have not. I need to get on that. I know me and Brandon talked about going down together. We'll have to see if that's still the plan. I need to find some other AdMech enjoyers that won't yell at me like you would. So we'll have to see who that is.
I don't yell. I just talk sternly.
Well, Connor, do you realize there is one other thing about the All Valley Team Tournament that makes it even more complicated?
Ooh, what's that?
You're only allowed to bring 1 of each faction on the team. So you can't have 3 AdMechs. You can have like AdMech and then an AdMech compendium, but...
Okay. I was going to ask, do you mean like you can only have 1 Xenos, 1 Chaos, and 1 Imperium team? Because that sounds crazy. But would be kind of...
No, we're not that crazy. No.
Now, do you guys allow compendium AdMech? Since they're technically not legal after the White Dwarf drop, right?
Then we would not. Sometimes I forget what was deleted and what was not deleted.
It's one of the 3 teams that's been deleted, and rightfully so. It was the worst. It might be worse than Heavy Intercessors. Every strat ploy could be used once, and they all came with a downside, like a significant one.
Well, AdMech, I think right now, the current team, the bespoke White Dwarf team, has 73 variations of models that you're allowed to take on a roster.
Something like that. It can get wild.
Quite a lot. Yeah, and then if you guys don't mind, I want to plug another event and something about Killscream.
Yeah, it's part of the reason we brought you on.
So there's another event that we're running on December, I think 14th and 15th. It's called the West Coast Championship. We ran this last year, and it was relatively low attendance because I think we ran it on the same weekend that Worlds was on. But this is the second year we're running it, and running it later in the year so that people can relax from all the craziness. But it's a really, really fun and cool format. Let me link something in the Discord for you guys. You guys could check out this on my website or on our Discord. But it's going to be a bracketed event, and it's going to be really fun because essentially we have tickets sold in bundles of 8. So you can join, let's say if you're coming from Pacific Northwest, you would buy a Pacific Northwest bracket ticket. And so you would come and you would be part of the Pacific Northwest, and you would play only people in that bracket on day 1. We have an LA category, we have San Diego, we have Bay Area, and we have NorCal. Hopefully we can get enough interest from Nevada and bring them into. And essentially, it's just a strict bracketed event that is seeded. So we would have like first seed, second seed, third seed, so on and so forth. And that's one of the things that we're going to award at Killscream is we're going to come up playing Killscream, but also give out first seed and second seed to players who can make it to the West Coast Championship. And to help them make it, we are going to be helping with plane costs for first seed and second seed from the Pacific Northwest. So Jimmy Kelly can't come up and win Kill Team 3 and then help get a plane ticket there. It has to be somebody from the Pacific Northwest. Okay. So no one's going to come in and steal these things. This is meant for the Pacific Northwest scene to make sure that we can have at least 2 representatives from the Pacific Northwest coming to the West Coast Championship at Mad Alpaca Games in Fairfield to make sure that they are there and playing. Obviously, if we can get more, that would be amazing, but I realize it is quite a distance, and I think we only have enough funds to really help 2 people get there.
This is pretty incredible. I know we talked about this, this weekend sometime, maybe middle of last week. And it's really cool to see the full idea come to fruition. And I think that'd be awesome. We'd love to send some people down there to represent the Northwest and really get that, regional exchange going. As Kill Team grows, we're starting to see more people travel, and, those cross area connections really come to, be something special that a lot of players look for.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other fun thing about this tournament is that's just day 1. So you have to fight your own region. And then depending on how you do in your bracket, you get sorted into something called a gold bracket, a silver bracket, a bronze bracket, or S tier bracket. And it's no longer a bracketed event. It is a seeded Swiss event from then on day 2. And it's 4 rounds. So all the gold bracketed players will play a Swiss 4-round tournament to see who would win the gold West Coast Championship, the West Coast Champion gold bracket. There'll be a West Coast Champion silver bracket winner, bronze bracket winner, and S tier bracket winner, which is the last place team. But that's a shout out to Kellen who does Exaction Squad as S tier. But the fun thing about each bracket is whatever bracket that you're placed into from day 1, I'm going to make a bunch of things and give gold players, the gold tier, gold things. The silver players, silver things like measuring gauges and all this kind of stuff. Bronze players, bronze. And then S tier is going to have the coolest. They're going to have holographic acrylic. So it should look super sick.
So does that mean no matter where you come out on day 1, you're still got stuff to play for on day 2?
Absolutely. 110%.
That's good, because I felt like because of how I played at LVO after I didn't do great in day 1, so the rest of it was just kind of fighting for pride. So it's nice that there's more to fight for no matter how you do out of the first day.
I think that's one of the funner things about this one. It's very much an esports style type of an event. If anyone's familiar with that, like MSI and Worlds. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to doing something different for the scene and really pushing forward regional crossplay so that more people can experience different regions and make that work.
That's going to be super fun. Just looking at the bracket, I'm glad that you've put the effort into having it, so that way, kind of like what Chuck was saying, where if you lose out day 1, you still have something to look forward to and to compete, because that's always some of the best stuff about a tournament. So nice work. Absolutely. This looks sick.
Yeah. And then everyone's going to get a prize anyways, so it's going to be cool. So very excited to try and make the West Coast Championship something cool, something different.
Yeah, we can. Now, is there going to be like a ultimate champion for this as well too, that comes out of one of the brackets, out of the gold bracket then?
So there will be four West Coast champions. I don't want to have just a singular overall West Coast champion, because I think that's unfair. I think that everyone that comes that comes to a tournament is of a different skill level. And I think that it's unfair to always reward the best competitive player with first place. So day 1 should really shake out people to being like, hey, these are the best of the best, right? These are the second best of the best. These are the third best of best. And these are the worst of the best of the best. But there is going to be a winner in each category to see who can come out on top. I mean, we might do something hobby-wise where we have a best West Coast hobby champion, right? Just a singular best in class. I think that would be really exciting and fun. But also, we're really excited to see how many groups that we can get there, because if we can get like 7 or 8 groups, and bring in like 72 players, that would be crazy, because then each bracket would have 14 people in it. It'd be pretty fun.
Now back to the AVTT. How many players did you guys have last year, and what are you shooting for this year?
So I believe we have to go double check the measurements of the venue, but I believe we can fit about 100 players in this venue. The very first year we ran it, we had 38 players. Last year we had 54 players. And the greatest thing about this is we didn't have a single drop. Either year, we haven't had a single person drop. And that's the fun thing about team tournaments is you're really held accountable by your friends. you sign up. In fact, the only drop last year was Giacomo.
Yes.
Giacomo.
But I'm going to say that I'm going to guess we're going to get 80 players, or that's where I was expecting. Maybe we'd get to up to 70 or something like that, percentage wise, where I could see growth happening. But with 3 golden tickets, I really think the sky is the limit. And I really hope that instead of always supporting these larger tournaments, like Games Workshop events, FLG events, go to something like Kill Scream, go to New York Open, go to the All Valley Team Tournament. Help these smaller tournament organizing groups really help them thrive, because FLG is going to be popular no matter what, right? Games Workshop is going to be popular no matter what. I think that it takes a community, right? It takes a community to build one.
100%. Go to independent events, because first off, you're getting in at the ground floor with a lot of these. Think where FLG was 10 years ago, Think of where these events will be in the future. And you can say, I went to the first one. You can brag to all of your nerd friends in the future.
When Kill Team finally overtakes 40K as the premier Games Workshop game, it's right around the corner. I can feel it.
Any day now.
It's definitely the most competitive game that GW has.
Oh, absolutely. I try and convince anyone that plays 40K, but they're like, yeah, it's not super competitive right now in 10th. It just isn't a fun competitive scene. I'm like, well, have I got the game for you? And it's actually a good type of competitive too.
I think that Games Workshop just needs to make a choice. You either make 40K competitive and sweaty and kind of lame with no crunch to it, no fluff, or you go like really crunchy, really fluffy beer and pretzels.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with 11th, right? Because 11th edition is 2 years out now. Think about that. That's kind of crazy. Like, we just had an edition reset, and we can, I think, easily speculate that the next edition will happen within 3 years, maybe 4. Maybe they'll slow down the release schedule, which might be nice. A nice change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
No, they got shareholders. I think 2 years is right.
No, please don't. We have like 90 other games besides 40K. Let the games breathe a little bit, unless it's really that bad. They got like,
how much would it cost for us to all pitch in and take it back? Like Games Workshop, just make it privately owned. Like, how much does each of us as a community have to pitch in to become the stockholders?
We need to get some dice thrower shirts that say, buy this shirt so I can buy Games Workshop, and then those will sell $1 billion.
Like, let's do this like GameStop style. Like, let's buy all their stock and make it so that they can't do shit without us approving it.
So it looks like their market cap currently is 3.1 billion pounds, which is more than dollars even. So I think quick math in my head, if every Kill Team player kicked in like $5, we'd be nowhere near it.
Did they ever find that DB Cooper guy who's in our area? Maybe we can find where he buried all that money.
Yeah, DB Cooper stole like $100,000. I think we're not even
inflation exists, Chuck. Come on, it's probably $1 million by now.
Yeah, inflation exists, but it's just actual paper money. It doesn't get bigger, Connor. Do we need to talk about inflation?
We might need to. I misunderstood what it is.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, Chuck.
Like, the silver dollars, they're really big, right? I thought that's how inflation worked, because they're old.
All right, so I just need to like print big money for Connor and be like, no, man, it says $5, but it's worth 100.
If it's actual silver dollars, then yeah. I'm sure that it would go up in price. But if it's just paper cash, it's just paper cash.
I had to call my accountant and make some changes real quick. BRB.
You know that there's some freak out there though that's like, I would pay good money for one of the dollar bills in the DB Cooper heist. Like, the money collectors, you want to talk about a level of like nerddom? That's next level.
Mm-hmm.
Giacomo and Dakotah, do you guys know DB Cooper?
Can't say I'm aware.
So DB Cooper was like early '80s. He what did he hijack a plane? He out of either Seattle or Portland, and took him. It was like him and two pilots went up in the air. Stole. He got like $100,000 in ransom or something. Got the plane up in the air. He parachuted out over like the Gifford Pinchot Wilderness, which is a huge forest up here.
It's like the
Body,
border of Washington and Oregon along the river, right?
I think it was a little more north of that, but yeah, in that area. And body's never been found, money's never been found. It's a huge like unsolved mysteries thing in the Northwest up here for y'all who don't know.
Huh.
Sounds like he just like landed in a car like Mission Impossible style and disappeared.
There's multiple
Well-
stories of people like in the area that, because the skills he had to have were like stuff you would only know through being a paratrooper in like the Air Force or Army or whatever it was. So that limited it down. But there was never anything that really gave a clear, definitive answer to who the person even was, because D.B. Cooper is just an alias, so we don't even know who the actual person is either.
Shoot, in like 10 years, he's going to become a cryptid.
I mean, like, he basically is up here. Like, he is on the same level as, like, Bigfoot and stuff like that. Occasionally, like, there'll be news and it'll be like, a stack of money from the DB Cooper heist washed up on a stream shore 100 miles away. And you're like, how did that happen? It's, like, weird. It'll never get solved. The dude probably, like, fucking died in the forest. And the fact that if you look up his sketch, he looks like what you would think any like high and tight like military guy from that era would look like. Literally the worst sketch ever. How anyone could ever identify this guy based off the sketch they provided, impossible.
Yeah, it was the sketch artist's like first day on the job or something.
Tyler, next time you're up here, there's actually a DB Cooper themed brewery here in Vancouver called Victor 23. That's actually pretty cool. We'll have to pop in there for a meal.
I love it. It sounds great.
Can we throw like a Kill Team Cascadia only event there?
Wait, are you a Casser-kin or are Casser-can or a Casser-not, everyone?
I'm a Casser can.
Okay.
I'm
Tyler?
a Casser King.
Yeah, okay. Casser-king, okay. Connor, are you a Casser-king or Casser-not?
I'm trying to come up with like a clever thing, but I'm got nothing at the moment. Casser Connor. There we go.
I mean, they were kind of Casser cons at LBO, unfortunately.
Yeah, they didn't do too hot, but they're doing well now. They're doing better.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out who to take to Tacoma, and I keep saying that I'm just gonna I'm like that hard-boiled cop that just gets pulled back into the Casserkins because I can't find any other team that I like.
Just embrace the one trick, Chuck. It's so relieving. People will be like, "What team?" And you're like, "You already know the answer."
Yeah, it's like Dakotah. Dakotah's bringing Vetguard. Connor's bringing Admech.
I am. My display board's going to be lit.
I said I've been playing Night Lords since Legionaries, so like my Night Lords just looked like the Nemesis Claw from Legionary, anyways. So basically the same team,
Nice.
You did dabble in Hand of the Archon though too, and you brought orcs to our tag team tournament up here.
Yeah, and I brought novitiates to LVO and intercession to Tacoma. So I play stuff.
Gee, what team are you playing competitively right now?
Competitively, it's not a thing, but I guess it would be Casserkin.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a very simple team. What do you do? Move forward. All right. What else do I do? Use points and shoot. All right, simple enough. I'm not a man of difficulties. If I'm playing in a tournament, that's anywhere from like 6 to 12 hours collectively between 2 days, and I'm not trying to burn myself out.
It's fair. So if Kill Scream was tomorrow, you're taking Casserkin.
You bet. It's all I have done.
That's fair. Gee, if I recall correctly, one of your Casserkin kind of looks like Saddam Hussein, right?
Apparently they
Absolutely
all
it
do
does.
due to the fatigues.
Okay. On Connor's, we had like the rat beef pop culture the couple weeks ago. Have you guys, I don't know how many of you are paying attention to Call of Duty at all anymore, but did you see what the big announcement was for like the past couple of days?
Outside of the Warhammer thing, I don't know.
No, so
Black Ops 6.
it's Black Ops 6, and it's a main, they revealed like the first teaser trailer for it, and it's got like Margaret Thatcher, Bill Clinton, Reagan, and apparently Saddam Hussein in it. And there's rumors that there's going to be a mission themed around September 11th. And I cannot believe they are even thinking of doing this. But I can't wait
been
to
long
see what
enough.
weird Black Ops spin they try and throw on this.
I can't wait for the Saddam Hussein playable skin.
Yeah, like there was in the first Black Ops, there was that mission 5s where it was like the zombies map with like JFK and like Nixon. So now I'm gonna be able to fight zombies in the semi-modern Pentagon playing as Saddam Hussein. It's gonna be amazing.
What a weird existence we live in.
It's insane.
So you're telling me that they had some kind of creative like thing, like a kickoff, right? I think John Boudreau said it's called a kickoff meeting. They had this kickoff meeting, right? And they're like, "Hey, is it too soon to put Saddam Hussein in a game?"
They're like,
And somebody was like, "Hell no, let's do that shit."
it's been over 20 years. Our player base wasn't alive for 9/11. We can do it. We can have like doing 316
Exactly.
no scopes in Saddam Hussein's Warlord Palace. It'll be fine.
No, like there's gonna be a mission where you try to stop the 9/11 hijacking and just watch it, but you fail. You fucking crash into the Twin
Yeah,
Towers.
like the fucking
Like,
no
as the
Russian
guy.
for Modern Warfare 2. I can't wait to see what awful fucking mission they try and theme around this. It's gonna be terrible and amazing.
No,
January
fucking
6th.
Yeah, that's gonna be Black Ops. Black Ops 9.
That'll be Black Ops
Yeah.
9, babe.
when Antifa was you have to be part of Antifa. That's actually part of the January 6th crowd. It was all a false flag to take over and make somebody look bad.
Chuck, now you sound like Sierra's dad.
See, this is why I play League of
Halo.
Legends.
Well, Halo, yeah, I play both of those.
I just play Helldivers and I support democracy. Okay,
That's a good one too.
Let's not mix up politics here. Just super democracy.
I hate Helldivers keyboard controls.
Is it because you're like not good with it?
It's obnoxious. No, dude, I just want to play Halo. I want to jump and I want to shoot things. Like
That's true.
it.
You can't really jump in the game. That's true.
Yeah, and
Dive,
it's like
though.
You can
Dive.
yeah, you can dive, but like I don't want to die from democracy. I want to jump for democracy. You feel me? Like that's why like the shooters I prefer are the old school shooters. I like to jump a lot. You know, smash that space bar, and yeah, play the Wild Rift. I uninstalled Riot on my computer, so it's just pure Riot phone goodness for me. TFT and Wild Rift.
Now I got into Sea of Thieves recently, and I'm really enjoying that. And if that isn't the most like tactical first person shooter, actually no, the shooting sucks, but it's fun. You get to like dig up treasure and stuff, and then I get to live out my Jack Sparrow fantasies.
That's true. It is a fun game.
I saw a guy snipe a dude off of like a crow's nest. Someone was like, "Hey, don't shoot my ship, shoot me." And some dude just like shot him. He's like sitting up in the crow's nest or whatever. It's pretty sick.
It's a pretty wild game because you can it's full PvP. There's no like, unless you play the safe version of the game, which you earn like 30% of everything. But if you guys are looking for like a fun like buddy game, I think that's the one. That's a fun one. It's kind of relaxing too. It's like you're out on the high seas and it's nice, and go get on an island and drink some rum.
Hell yeah! All right, I can be down with that.
We were playing Space Marine 1 the other night in multiplayer as like a community, and that was really fun. And I am looking forward to Space Marine 2 with co-op, like 3-player co-op in that. That's going to be so fucking good.
Oh yeah,
that does look super good. There's you can play co-op campaign and co-op just like missions too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So like there's usually like in the first one there was an Exterminatus mode, which was like waves of enemies. Like you'd clear 5 waves and go on to the next one. And then once you got to the last one, it was like infinite waves, essentially. Really fun. And then this one, there's like the narrative story mode, and then also like just Exterminatus mode, which it's going to be incredible. I'm so fucking pumped for it. So I spent hundreds of hours in the first one.
Hell yeah, dude.
Now I'll circle back to AVTT one more time. It is September 21st and 22nd.
I believe so. Yes.
Cool.
It is.
And that would be a great warm up for Killscream, because Killscream is just a few weeks later on October 4th, 5th, and 6th here in Portland.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. It's 4th, 5th, and 6th, right? So you guys actually have the exact same date as New York Open, I believe.
New York Open is a little bit later. They're I want to say 23rd of October. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So have you guys seen the Warhammer golden ticket events where they like award everyone golden tickets, like where they show everyone golden tickets. Here, I'll just copy and paste it into that chat. So if anyone wants to look at what I'm talking about, you go to warhammercommunity.com, search for May 3rd, 2024, and they released an article indicating where all of the golden tickets are for this year. Like, so they have US Open, Tampa, SoCal Open, for Kill Team, Gateway Open for 2024, whatever that is, Lone Star Open, US Open Tacoma, and they have New York Open on here. I thought it said it was the 4th.
No,
They could be wrong.
They should be later because we've been coordinating to make sure that they didn't overlap on there. So
Good.
I don't currently see New York Open on there, but yeah, like Tyler's saying, we duked it out with them and figured out that we were taking that weekend.
I did find it. Hopefully, it is a typo. It does say October 4th for them. So,
It does.
GW, why would you do this to me? I'm going to start crying. But hopefully, it is just a typo or an old event date that hasn't been updated.
Because I don't see Kill Scream on here. Are you guys going to be getting another one? You guys attempting to?
I mean, we've put in for it. Zach has been hard to get a hold of for me recently.
Fair.
So I'm trying to chat with him, but I know I will see him at Tacoma and be able to at least get one out of him. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I think Kill Scream's going to be too big to not award a golden ticket, you know?
Absolutely.
we're
It's supposed to be
projecting
huge.
128 players is what we're setting up for. We have the space, we have the tables, we have a bunch of other stuff going on too with it, you know, so it's going to be real exciting. So everyone should be there for probably the weirdest Kill Team event that you'll ever go to.
There you go. It's interesting. AVTT, we sold 3 team tickets today, full on. So we sold 9 tickets to the All Valley today.
Nice.
So if anyone's looking to get tickets, they might be gone faster than you know. When do your guys' tickets for Kill Scream go up for sale?
They're coming. We're working on just like final details. There's a lot of stuff in motion with Kill Scream.
Sure.
It has turned from, you know, we've kind of been teasing it for a little bit, but it's going to a full-on convention at this point. It's no longer just Kill Scream. Kill Scream is an event at a larger event, but we are going to go live with the Kill Scream tickets here first, and then we're going to detail all the other stuff that you'll be able to engage in and do while you're there in between events. And the final day, if you're not in the top ultra sweaty competitive cut for 128 players, what we got going on for you to experience.
Cool.
Now, I just popped in the chat there from the New York Open homepage. It says on there it's October 26th and 27th.
You are correct. So it looks like it's a GW error.
Shocker with all their fantastic rules writing.
I'm just going to take this to mean that they've already given us a golden ticket and they just get stuff mixed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fingers crossed.
Exciting.
So I'm guessing y'all saw the article today about termination for next week, right?
Sure did.
Yeah.
You guys excited for that box?
Pretty sure everyone's next podcast is going to be at least on one of the teams coming out.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the set. Will I buy any team? But it's I like to see the rules for these teams. I think their rules are going to be interesting.
There's no way Brood Brothers aren't going to be overpowered. I've been saying it since they detailed them. I know it in my gut. They're going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think they're definitely going to be pretty good. There's not a lot. I mean, I think they're going to have, like, in my best estimation, they probably have 14 models. The Broodlord's probably going to take up 4. The other 2 guys would probably take up 2. You can only probably take either the 2 dudes or the Broodlord. And then they're going to be like, you know, Vet Guard probably, but more melee. And why would that not be better Vet Guard? We already see Blooded doing better than Vet Guard are currently. And then you have a giant monster to go alongside it. Seems pretty good. An 11 activation team looks like it might be a little cracked.
Yeah, 11 activations is like minimum I see from the team. You know, you don't know if you're even going to be forced to take 2 basic troopers. Like, we have very little details about the team at the moment, so even with today's article and the little bit in White Dwarf and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Connor, you said you picked something up from the White Dwarf article, right?
Yes. So for anyone that hasn't got issue 500 of White Dwarf, normally I'm not a big White Dwarf guy. This one's pretty worth it. There's a whole host of awesome stuff in it, particularly a battle report between the new Kill Team teams, and there's a decent amount of hints, or at least like rule hints for what we can expect to see from them.
The thing about the White Dwarf that I thought was interesting is like, it's like it's a cross narrative game. So they have like a game of Kill Team, they have a boarding patrols game going on, and then they have like a 2,000 point game that are all tied narratively. So there's some like weird wording where he's like, oh, I didn't take this because the patriarch is out doing this and Big Hammer, and stuff like that. And so I don't know. And they often take like really weird choices in White Dwarf, like very narrative themed and things like that. So I really wonder how indicative of the team that article is.
Very true. There could be a whole host of weird narrative stuff that might just be narrative rules, because like one of them mentioned shoving a guy off the platform as he killed him, but that could just be the narrative touch for like, yeah, he killed the operative, but it was near a cliff, so we're saying the body fell off. But maybe that's just a fun narrative twist they're throwing in this book, is you could finally push people off like we've all wanted since we first saw it. But the biggest thing I saw for the Hearthkin was it seems that they have some sort of like a Corsair's ploy to get closer to an objective before the game starts, or maybe even like deploy outside of their deployment zone, which could be pretty neat. If they still have the 5-inch movement, that's a good way to get around it, is if your entire team can just forward deploy by a couple of inches.
I'm just excited for another dwarf team for Dakotah to talk shit about and get put in the book even deeper.
I honestly think that this team is going to 100% counter the other dwarven team. The other dwarven team, Votann, is going to counter this team. I already think that Votann are actually better. I think they're good into Vetgard. They're good into a few other teams, but they just their skill ceiling isn't high enough to be good in the meta. This team, I have no idea. I think I'm going to guess that this team is going to be relatively balanced. I think they'll probably come out the same power level as Scouts. Blades of Cain, we'll probably see them in B tier. I don't think they're going to be overly tuned, but I think the other team will be.
Tyler, what's the name of your buddy we were talking about the other day? The hello there gentleman from the UK.
Oh, Mr. Tabletop Impulse.
Tabletop Impulse. I was watching his video today, and his prediction for it, which we'll find out in a couple days, is that you get 8 soldiers, and then you can take like 2 to 4 more troops, or you can take like the Primus, I think it was, or whatever the one guys were, or you could take like the 8 troops and the Patriarch, and that was based kind of on the White Dwarf article as well too. So I think that could be how we see them. I still think that the Patriarch's going to be pretty interesting to play against, especially since we've heard that he can potentially double activate.
I think they confirmed that when they announced it, didn't
They
they?
sure
Yep.
did. And they also have a psychic spell that makes your opponents them do other things. We see that already with the ventriloquist forcing enemies to dash, which is I think Austin Lewis and Jimmy Kelly both did multiple times at the tournament. They would jump forward the ventriloquist with a 4-inch dash, move up 6 inches, and then even possibly dash. I don't remember if they did or not, or if the ventriloquist took 3. Then they would force somebody to dash out into the open, and then they would next activation shoot that model, or move a missile launcher up, and then shoot that model and get like 3 or 4 kills.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy depending on how strong they want to make the Patriarch's ability to control you, because we're already seeing, like you just said, it's pretty powerful in Nemesis Claw, so Patriarch, I can only imagine, is even more ridiculous.
Tyler, have you had any fun plays with your ventriloquist so far?
Honestly, I have had such brutal games with my Nemesis Claw that he's done like little bits of work, nothing too spicy. It's my Skin Thief, it's the Shrieker that are doing the work. It's the Visionary that are just like eating people alive, taking,
Interesting thing. I've been talking to some high level players thinking of dropping the Skin Thief.
I don't see it. I don't see dropping the Skin Thief into most matches. Obviously it's match dependent, but like his burst damage is so high into stuff like elves and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're pretty much gonna one tap them in most cases, or because of the reduced damage, they're gonna do really solid stuff. Just be able to finish them off without too much work.
The one thing that Battle Brothers Ben has been talking about is dropping the Poison Boy for the heavy gunner. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Jimmy
for sure.
Jimmy did it into
To both.
he did
games.
it into other
Mhm.
elite matchups, but I'm not gonna lie, I still think you drop the Skin Thief into an elite counter, possibly.
I mean, have you seen like what the Skin Thief can do?
Yeah,
I know you
but
have.
But the damage characteristic doesn't really make sense. If they're doing 4 or 5 damage, you're still going to die in 3 hits. So the -1 damage doesn't mean that much.
But like you're gonna be charging in, doing that burst damage, and then you're gonna be finishing a model off in 2
Yeah.
hits.
But the
I think
question
that
is,
utility.
is the Skin Thief better, or is the Poison Guy better into an
No.
elite matchup? And
Skin Thief.
that's the ultimate question. Well, I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, I find that my poison guy mostly just ends up being an action monkey. He's running around. He's doing like a little bit of stuff, but like he's not hugely effective for me. He's definitely like the first on my drop list, I think.
That's fair. That's fair.
But you know what? I haven't played the team, so I could be just dead wrong. I'm just literally watching the streams that happened at the last tournament.
And they're crazy cooked.
Yeah,
They-
and not once did they take the poison guy, so
You guys have replays of the streams on Twitch right now, and those are coming to YouTube soon?
they sure will be.
I forgot you guys were streaming this weekend, and I'm super bummed that I didn't watch it. So I was excited to hear this morning that y'all got replays of those that I can take a look at.
Yes, on our Twitch channel, which is the Squad Games Entertainment.
I'm looking forward to him on YouTube because Twitch, for some reason, when I cast it to my TV, acts really weird, but YouTube works great. So once you guys get them up there,
Are you guys going to be streaming Killstream?
hopefully, I've been working on a little bit of some stuff for it, and I've also met a guy recently who does some streaming stuff, board games and things like that. So we're gonna see, but we would love to have you guys up there streaming it if if you have first the capacity to or anything like that. So
Yeah, come up and get your golden tickets from us. Can't win one of your own tournaments, so you're gonna try and take the one down in the Northwest.
It's crazy, man. We're giving out 6 this year compared to like 2 last year, and those 2 were FLG events. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy.
we're hoping to give out one.
I hope you do too.
Do you know how many people they're gonna have at the Worlds for Kill Team?
I'm going to guess a 50% increase. So from 35 to 50 would be my guess. Maybe 60 players at the most.
Well, we have a question from the community in the Ask Vox Cascadia Discord. So Sam, my buddy from the Oregon Coast, actually had a question, which I think is good for all of us. In a given week, how much time do you spend actively on Kill Team? And break down in hobby building or painting, playing, and podcast or TO related activities. Just curious to how much time you dedicate to this hobby in various ways. We can probably just summarize it. We don't have to get a minute by minute play by play of everything we do all week long, but Tyler, what about you?
I mean, like, I think that literally I spent 150 plus hours thinking about Kill Team, working on stuff, playing stuff, hobby. It's like, honestly, this game has taken over my life in a way that I would have never expected if you would have told me a couple years ago that I'd be doing so much tabletop wargaming stuff.
Giacomo, what about you? How much time you dedicate into this silly game we play?
I was calculating it.
Doing the math.
I'm going to give a slight breakdown. It'll be quick. So you got your standard stuff. About 3 hours for the podcast, 2 for recording, about another hour for editing and uploading. Then I have the Thursday nights. We play for about 5.5 hours. Not so bad. It's pretty manageable. Then I talk with my coworker maybe about 2 hours in a week about it. So it's another 10. Then Dakotah calls me for maybe, somewhere anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours a day, bringing up Kill Team stuff that I wasn't expecting. So, maybe like 1,000, who knows? No, realistically, probably about 100, including the Dakotah stuff.
And then Dakota, how much of your time besides talking to Giacomo for 15 hours a week about Kill Team, how much time are you putting into it?
I'd probably say, in actuality, probably at least 40 hours a week. And that's like dedicated. That's not thinking about it. That's actual like
Mm-hmm.
working time into it. I'm probably on the phone at least 10 hours a week talking to various people, top players, TOs. Um, and that's just phone calls, at least 10 to 15 hours worth of phone calls per week. I am doing at least 2 hours of podcasts a week, at least, right? And then editing. Sometimes when we do Hobby Highlander, which is, we probably do once a month.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Hobby Highlander, where is a 9 hour day, and Giacomo's editing those for 8 hours a week. So that's another 8 hours, G, that you forgot to add in.
I did.
Uh-huh. And then, there's terrain building, images, all that kind of stuff. So I'd say at least 40 hours a week. The rest of the time I really have to either work or be with my son and my wife. So my time is extremely limited. And that's why, like earlier I said, like when I'm going to play Kill Team, uh, any kind of outside activities that I have to do, I have to double dip. I have to make it content related or any of that kind of stuff, because being a father, working, doing this takes up a ton of time. And I might be the most fanatical Kill Team person anyone has ever met. I might be.
I think so.
The amount of passion and things that I really try to push in, I might not be. I'm sure there's other people out there that are out there doing that kind of stuff, but like, creating terrain, creating packets, all that kind of stuff, thinking about the game and how teams are functioning, getting different insights, looking at stats, talking to my stats guy, David, awesome guy, answering hobby questions, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot. It's at least 40 hours of active service to Kill Team per week, at least.
Connor, what about you?
40 hours a week if we're just counting time spent on Discord, because I'm very good at my job and pay a ton of attention to it, and definitely know to spend time on Discord. But on a more real note, probably like anywhere from 10 to 20, depending on what I'm doing that week, whether it's probably, 5, give or take, playing games, another like 3 to 4 of actually painting or building and listening to podcasts. So that goes up to like 8 if we're kind of consuming the content and stuff. And then it's definitely been higher this past week because I've sat down and I'm trying to come up with how to make some interesting ICD maps, just for my own sake, but also because I saw Dakota did it and I really liked how they came out, and so I'm shamelessly stealing his idea.
Do you want to know what went into
Yes,
that?
I actually
Connor?
do. I was going to ask. The biggest thing right now has been what you use to make them, because they look really nice, and I want to figure out what you did.
First thing I did was I used this app that I found on Reddit that kind of like lets you place items and things. I converted it into, or I downloaded them, put them into Inkscape, turned it into a SVG, the black and white, and then imported my own art, and then um, did a bunch of other things with my own art in that. That's specifically how I did it art wise. The actual making of the maps was a lot more difficult. It was 9 months of work into the thing, getting back doing 5 different renditions. And in fact, the only map that stayed relatively close to the same was map 1. On the last, after the very first one rendition of it, I changed where the doors would go. And then on the very last one, I changed where the doors actually went. And that was all manual labor. But a few key things that I see people make huge mistakes on is that you have to make sure every single team can get at least 3 objectives every single round. You can't make it too laney. So that means every objective has to be within 5 inches of the deployment zone because of OTAN. If you do it any further, you're going to get people complaining. It is what it is. A couple other key things is making sure that people can secure and explored rooms, and making sure that you're not using too many pillars. Because sometimes you can design a map and you think it's good, and then you put it together and there's not enough pillars. So what I ended up doing was I would just sit there for like an hour to 2 hours each time I did this, putting together things, thinking about it, and then after learning about Into the Dark and how the game is fundamentally supposed to be played and how fundamentally teams are supposed to be scoring from the ground up, is when things finally came to fruition right before LVO. I think I released it on December 24th. I did it all of December 23rd, the last rendition. So don't be afraid to take community feedback. It is the best tool that us as Kill Team players have to deal with, because I sure received quite a lot of bad stuff. And also, there's a lot of really good players. So I would always reach out to them and ask, especially like people like Jimmy Kelly, Chris Baki, and a few other people were instrumental into making sure that some of these teams and maps functioned correctly. As if you guys remember, Jimmy Kelly won KTO year one with 87 players, right? And then Chris Baki's just a phenom. So like sometimes I would really lean heavily on them, and then we would run them at every single one of our events, and we would get a ton of criticism. And sometimes we'd change them in the middle of an event. I remember at Hammer of Wrath, every single board had a problem, so we just sat there and we just changed them sometimes between rounds because they're hot dog shit. And you can see the same pitfalls that I learned from uh, crafting Into the Dark with what they did with Beta Decima, and that's how I know that they're like 3 or 4 steps behind where this asymmetrical terrain set is. So don't be afraid to go back and change your maps. The more feedback that you get, because people will just stroke your ego and say they're good when they're actually shit. So you have to do hard self reflection and see what actually works and what doesn't. Custom art, and then a lot of test and trial is what you got to do.
Sweet. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate all of that. Thankfully, I've had both Grant and Zarin, my local friends that play Kill Team, already looking at the maps, because my first step was like, I don't really know how to build the maps. So I went into some of the old like narrative ITD maps and stuff and was like, I like this idea they're going for here, but it needs to be, not narrative, because a lot of times they're not meant to have 6 objectives. So I'm stealing half of GW's work. So sorry, Games Workshop, but not really. So that's been nice, just because I can look at the maps and start physically building them and rearranging the rooms. But it's been useful just having people, while they were playing Kill Team last week, I was just building maps and then like putting up like, all right, you finished Turning Point 2. Everyone come over and tell me what's crap. And thankfully, Zarin is a Corsairs and a net, and then Grant is a Corsairs player, so he's like, yeah, this one sucks and that one sucks because I could Alpha Strike with a grenade before anyone would move. And I'm like, that's a good point. Let me change that. So
that's not always bad.
It's like some of them I'm like, no, this one I kind of want it to be, because it's a trade-off of you get the super scary first Alpha Strike, but you might be harder to reach like 2 of the more neutral objectives. So, but yeah, it's been nice to just have community feedback already. But thank you for the insight as well.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you taking some time out and telling us all the new exciting things in the squad games, the cinematic universe, I guess.
Best
No,
you.
it's exciting. I'm hoping to make it down for the AVTT, and I don't think I can make the West Coast Championships, but AVTT, I'm gonna rearrange some of my vacation time to see if I can get down there for that. I'm actually going to be in LA in July, going to a soccer game down there.
Oh, sweet.
Football.
You're gonna have to stop by and say hi.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I don't know anything about LA. I'm gonna be. It's at SoFi. So,
traffic sucks.
Yeah, I'm staying pretty close to it, I think. So that's good. But Giacomo, can you do your patented like squad games end of the show plugs?
Absolutely. So, if you want, you can join the conversation, not only on our Discord, but on the KTC Discord. Tell us what you thought about this episode. Maybe you like last week's episode. Maybe you want to be featured in that question thing at the end. You could be that guy.
Or girl.
Or person. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want to be, but you can ask that question. And then there's other things you can do, like support your local TOs, go to their events when you can, play the game, have a good time with it, inspire others to paint stuff. That's always an appreciated thing. And if you want to find some more things, you can There's other podcasts. There's the Squad Games podcast. We appreciate it. There's our YouTube channel. That's where my plugs. And you can find me on Instagram at wargaming_studios. I'm currently painting Night Lords. Not really, but I say I am. And yeah, that's my bit.
Thanks, Giacomo. And then Dakotah, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere Giacomo just said. If you guys want to learn more about Nemesis Claw, go to Battle Brother
You did
Tabletop. I know I did, damn it. Battle Brother Tabletop on YouTube, and watch his video on Nemesis Claw. It's fantastic. He is
It's so
great
good.
at modeling. You know, if you want to know more about hobby stuff, we have a thing called Hobby Highlander where we test a bunch of paints. We're going to be recording 3 more episodes, 7, 8, and 9 here on June 7th, and getting more of these videos out. Yeah, that's pretty much us. Next week we release episode 100. So that's super exciting. Never thought we'd get to that goal, but hey, yeah, pretty exciting.
Congratulations. That's a big milestone. We're on like 18 and it feels like it's been forever. So, you guys got like 5 times as many as we do.
And only 82 more episodes. There you go.
Yeah, we're
Wait, no,
right
yeah,
behind.
that's the math. There you go.
Yeah. And Tyler, what about you? Any new shirts coming out?
I actually just dropped the limited colorway while we were on the podcast. I photoshopped it up and put it up, so it's only available until the 31st in a pink and orchid and pink or purple colorway. And you can check that out at dicethrower.bigcartel.com or find me on Instagram, lowbrow minis.
Connor, what about you?
I was going to ask Tyler about that shirt because I just opened up Instagram to make sure I was following them on our at Cascadia podcast. Go follow us on Instagram there. And by the time you're hearing this podcast, it's Thursday. If you want that sick purple shirt, you got to order it either today or tomorrow, Thursday or Friday. So go buy now. Do it. Otherwise, follow me at Spanaway on everything. You'll hear me talking about Hunter Clade or Admech or probably Kroot for the next couple of weeks.
Connor, I love when you do the shilling piece because it's very direct. It's, this is why you're in like city planning and not like sales, I think.
I could probably be smoother with it, but I think my relentless stupidity and enthusiasm kind of works in like a way like a sad dog.
It's charming and like I don't know what the word is, but it's charming in its own way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Go buy now. Do it.
Yeah,
Peer pressure.
That's what it is. That's how you sold your last tournament. It was like, if you don't do it, I will come find you. No, I won't do that, but yeah. So,
but we know we would.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm at Painting Cave Minis on Instagram, and I never post anything. And actually, I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to post something. I got some work on my mandrakes.
You better.
So.
Nick's been posting more than you.
There you go.
Nick has been posting more than me.
I got one last one. Happy birthday, Alexander Popov.
True. Happy birthday.
Drink.
Yeah, happy birthday, dude. Can't wait to see you at Killscream 3.
Everyone go buy tickets when we have those up, or go to the Owl Valley tournament, or the West Coast Championship, or any of the other cool tournaments we talked about that I'm blanking names on right now.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hell yeah. Talk to you guys later.
See ya.